Hey everybody, good morning. It is Friday, and we don't have Simpiwe here yet. She's running late. James's grand died, so he's not in this morning, but we do have Flex. Flex, you've become the most reliable person on the staff. Well done. Yeah, and he's tough as well. He's like shouting the orders around. I like this. I might just make him in charge of everything, you know? We should put him in the driver's seat. Let's see what happens. Speaking of the driver's seat, I don't know how you felt about President Gwede Mantashe over the last few days. Did anyone feel an improvement? No. Yeah, he was our acting president while Cyril was in the Oval Office, basically having his nose rubbed into his mess on the carpet. But we'll talk about that in a second. I think that's pretty much the story of the week, especially here in South Africa. People are justifiably interested, curious. Everyone's talking to each other about it. There are people who have no idea what to make of it. There are people who see very clear things happening. I see in the comments section, there are a lot of people who have lots to say. We'll get to it, I promise you, in the next 5 minutes. No more and no less, because it's been something that I've been thinking about too. I watched the whole thing live as it was unfolding on Wednesday. Made for gripping television. That's all I said afterwards. I don't think that we will ever be able to turn back to the way politics used to be. I don't just mean South Africa, I mean the world. I mean this idea of politics being this very sweet, kind, people say to each other, you know, whatever they need to say to be polite and diplomatic when the cameras are on and when they're dealing with the media. And then as soon as they get behind closed doors, they start getting into the real stuff. Well, those days are gone, because now, and not just because of Trump, but largely brought about by him, and certainly being taken on by other leaders all over the world. You're seeing that it's pretty much what goes on behind the scenes is what's going to go on in front of the cameras now. And there's no more pretending, performative stuff. These guys are going to have to catch up quickly. And the politicians who can't, who are still going by the old ways, will just be eaten up for breakfast. And we can therefore move on swiftly to what happened to our president and our South African delegation when they arrived at the Oval Office. I can't believe this, but they arrived a half an hour late. And it just reminded me, I don't know if you remember this, I'm sure you do, you know, just 4 or 5 years ago, the same president used to call family meetings. You remember those? And we'd all have to sit around the TV, probably in the middle of load shedding, so you might not have even had TV. But he was never on time for any of those things. And, you know, you're going to America with a begging bowl, which is pretty much what he said when he arrived in the Oval Office and the cameras were switched on. He said, you know, we need your help, and we want your technology, and with your support, all of this stuff that he was saying to Donald Trump. But if you're going to ask people for things, you arrive on time. You don't arrive late and then go, oh, and I'll have some of that, please. It's not going to go well for you. Anyway, that was the beginning, and it didn't go much better for him from there. But I don't want to talk about what actually happened. There are enough memes that are going into that. I want to talk about what it means. And there are 3 things to me that came out of that meeting. The first one of those is that we have a completely useless government that don't know what the hell they're doing. And now everyone in the world can see it. Because for the longest time, South Africa's been given a free pass, you know, because of our history here. We had this miraculous story in 1994 where the whole country went and voted. Everybody participated. We started to show the rest of the world that reconciliation was possible, that we could build a rainbow nation together. Well, that dream has kind of died, and it died because the government that we have has just run the place into the ground. I see there's a story today about Knysna, which is a beautiful little town on the Garden Route, which used to be a bit of a playground for millionaires, and it was always such a gem in South Africa. It was just naturally very beautiful. It was a place of tremendous stories, you know, of great history, a place which really just from every angle was magnificent to see. And I see now they can't keep their water working, their infrastructure's collapsing. This is the story of South Africa writ large. And you even got that from the Kasatu lady. I don't know if you saw that, but there were only 2 ministers or 2 members of Cyril's delegation proper that spoke, and by proper I mean that he took over as government representatives. The one was John Steenhuisen, the Minister of Agriculture, and then the other one who spoke was the chair of COSATU, the largest trade union in South Africa. And she said, like, our country's a violent disgrace. That's pretty much what she was there to talk Cyril up, you know? And when he gave her the mic, she was like, well, we rape and murder women. It's a very violent place. It's a disaster. You don't want to go there. Nothing works. Didn't go very well. So everyone in the world now knows that our country is run by the most incompetent people on planet Earth. And you can't hide that anymore because it was all said on live TV by the people who fall under the man who's meant to be leading the country. So very embarrassing. I think that's number one. We had a whole bunch of golfers talking too. They didn't help the case, by the way. Neither Ernie Els nor Retief Goosen helped the case for Cyril. I think they were very honest, and I commend them for that. I was kind of dismissive and said, why are they taking golfers along? But I also found out afterwards, can't verify this at this stage, but that it was actually Donald Trump who invited them and not Cyril, which is interesting because people have been speculating, where does he get his information about South Africa? You know, a lot of people who are in the lying mainstream media keep saying he gets all his misinformation from somewhere. The reality is that these two golfers were there. They didn't help Cyril's case either. Retief Goosen pretty much admitted that his family in Polokwane have to live behind electric fences and worry every night that they're going to be attacked. His mother was attacked. It's a horrible, like it couldn't have been worse from a storytelling point of view. Ernie Els said something like, yeah, well, in 31 years, nothing has happened. The country's just got worse. And it's not a place he wants to live in anymore. You know, Johan Rupert's building a cottage somewhere, and he sleeps with his door open. So it didn't go well, is what I'm trying to say. Our country's run badly. Everybody knows we can't hide that anymore. The second thing that came out of it was a whole lot of policy stuff, which has to do with what South Africa's got to do to get its act together and sort out its problems. And a lot of the important stuff that happened in that conversation would have happened in the non-press part of it afterwards, where they actually had lunch. I heard it was very, very tough from sources I know. I heard that there was no theatrics, there was no performance going on there. It was all basically policy. And the United States will not invest in this country if we don't guarantee private property. So no expropriation bill, that has to go. The ANC's got to change their BEE policy because it's only enriching a few very, very well-connected people in the ANC for all the reasons we've discussed on the show before. They got to can it. It's not going to happen. And then there are other moves that the ANC's got to change its trajectory on. Not only because Donald Trump and the rest of the world are looking at us going, what a basket case, you should be embarrassed about yourselves, but because for the ANC to survive, they have to change. So I hate to start a Friday morning with all of this, but this is what people have been talking about for the last few days, and this is what I'm distilling out of it. The ANC has to change because it is already on a losing trajectory. It is headed for the hills, and not in a good way. If you look at the last election and the fact that they are no longer the governing party, they now have to govern in coalition with people they hate, like the DA or the Freedom Front Plus or, Yaton McKenzie. They don't want to do that. They want to be able to do what they've always done, have complete control of government, and they can't. So if they want to survive, they have to give up all this national democratic revolution bullshit, this preoccupation with 1970s Soviet-era stupidity. It's just got to end at some point. So that's the second thing that comes out of it. The third thing that comes out of it, and this is a very, very interesting one. I think it's also very controversial. Probably a lot of people won't agree with me. But I think that meeting in the Oval Office brought up something which we've all been pretending doesn't exist. It brought up that it is no longer acceptable for people to spread anti-white discrimination or sentiment or racism, whatever you want to call it. But for the longest time, it's been absolutely fine for everybody in the world to allow a little bit of anti-white racism in. And in fact, some people don't even believe that that's possible because they say, well, racism by definition can't be against white people. They're uniquely evil in the world. Their history is peculiar to inventing things like racism, which is obviously nonsense because every race, every tribe, every culture, every creed in the world has done good and bad things. And some of them have done horrific things and they get away scot-free, and some of them get guilt and get punished for the rest of eternity. Now, Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about that stuff, but he doesn't want anyone to be treated differently, whether they're white or black. He said as much during his conversation with Cyril. And I think that the real reason that so many people on the left and so many people in the media are furious about the last couple of weeks of what's happened here, the white refugees, the Oval Office meeting, Cyril being ambushed, these were their talking points, right? Is because deep down inside they can see the writing on the wall, that it's slowly becoming impossible for you to continue to be an anti-white racist. And this is a good thing. I don't see any negative to this. I myself have often in the past made jokes about, poor whites and laughed about white people who consider themselves victims and all the rest of it. But I think we're living in an age now where people of any background, any religious or cultural or ethnic or racial bent can be victimized. And to pretend that white people are somehow special, that they are either the only ones that you can be racist about or the only ones that can be guilty of racism is ludicrous. That's almost giving white people magical power. And I think that's extremely dangerous. It's led us down some very dark paths. And I think the way that you can get away with that sort of sentiment in the world and in the media is just becoming very unfashionable. And a good thing it is. So those are the three big takeaways. I'd love to know what you thought. I wish we could all sleep like Rupert one day. Not filthy rich, but safe. Well, look, I don't think that did him any favors. I don't think he meant it as, I can sleep because I'm wealthy and I don't know what danger is. I mean, he did mention, Johan Rupert did mention that he is often the target of, the white monopoly capital guys when they were still a thing, remember? And he did. He has largely pulled out of South Africa from a business point of view. He has very little here in the way of business interests compared to what he's got overseas. He still has interests here and he still spends some of his time here. And we should be very pleased about that because when people come to South Africa and they spend money in South Africa and they live here and they invest here, small as it may be compared to the rest of his investments, we should be pleased for that. But I don't think anyone in that meeting was our enemy. And frankly, I would not have wanted to be Cyril Ramaphosa. I think he had a very, very tough ask. And I think he actually did okay. People aren't going to like that. But I don't think he was victorious. And I don't think he was tremendously successful like, the News 24s are saying he was. Because he came away with nothing. And there was a lot of humiliation there. And I have seldom seen a president begging like you saw Cyril. I mean, he was so servile and submissive. When a dog rolls over and shows you its tummy because it's like, please, don't hurt me. It felt like that. And I don't think Donald Trump was particularly aggressive. It was just what we all expected to happen. Well, certainly if you'd listened to this show, you would have known what to expect. And I don't like seeing our president being humiliated. I don't like seeing our country being humiliated. But for the longest time, the rest of the world has just either ignored us or turned a blind eye to the things that shouldn't be happening, like the destruction of the economy, rank corruption, a mismanagement of pretty much everything, including basic things like the electricity grid, water. We now have the world's attention on us, so we better use it for good. But I don't want to see our president crawling around, nervously giggling, being made to watch videos of embarrassing, terrible things that are going on in South Africa, just as Trump once said, that got so many people fired up. There are very bad things happening. Yeah, you could watch a whole video of it if you wanted to. And we were all forced to. Thank you very much. So, in the end, I hope it leads to some kind of good. I just hope it gets us to a point where we step aside from the bullshit and we get this country working. The average South African is not obsessed with black and white. The average South African is not obsessed with the past. The average South African is desperate to make a living, to live happily in cooperation and conjunction with his or her neighbors. The average South African just wants to turn on the lights and they'll come on. The average South African just wants to pay tax so that the roads work, so that they can do the things they want to do, raise their kids, live in a way that's better than the way that they're used to. That would be great. And if anything good comes out of this, whether it's by the hand of Cyril Ramaphosa or Donald Trump or by the good work of the South African citizen, you and me, let's get it going. I don't want to have us turning around and around in circles anymore. Anyway, Judas says the biggest letdown is there was no comeback after everything was exposed. None of them mentioned what they were going to do to improve crime in the country. It's very sad. Yeah, I don't know. Again, actions will speak louder than words here, but I don't think this is the last we're going to hear about this story. If anybody thinks that go to the Oval Office now, Cyril, and you've placated Trump satisfactorily and he's had his say that it's all going to go away now, it's not going to happen. It's going to continue to be an issue. And they're going to be following it, and the American media is now all over it. I was happy that nothing was sugar-coated, says Signet, and the truth came out. Better to play open cards, else the world will see through the political bullshit. Well, we can't hide it anymore. We can't hide how badly this place is being run. And thanks to the internet. And I don't know if you saw, but Elon was there. David Sachs was in the meeting. They were all standing in the background. Trump was the only guy from the U.S. delegation to talk. Did you notice that? We had our president talking. We had Ernie and Retief. We had Steenhuisen. We had Johan Rupert. We had the president of COSATU. They had just Donald Trump. No one else said anything. He had this high-powered team there, and nobody else said a damn thing. So either he said, I'm going to handle this, let me do this, or the rest of them just didn't think it was necessary to hop in. I don't know. Anyway, Bitcoin Butch says, I wish we could all sleep like Rupert one day. Yeah, and then he also says, someone else says about that, Johan Rupert must go to the toilet with the security team in South Africa. I think our team did fairly, says Vyasan. Trump was a bit overboard with his worksheets, flipping through it, saying, 1,000, death, 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 when it looked like he had 50. Nothing will change, says Steve. Well, Steve, it's always nice to have your positivity on the show. We've got to live in hope, dude. It's pretty much a South African thing that we live in hope, Dirk says we need to ride the wave of awareness because in 2 weeks the media will move on to something else. Yeah, I don't think that some people in the South African media will move on to something else because they're obsessed with this. They're obsessed with kind of trundling out the same old narrative, but they don't realize that it's just not sticking anymore. So we'll see what happens. I fell asleep watching it, says Slippery Pickle. You kidding? That was pretty good TV. Just from a TV point of view, I think it was well done. Ryan says, remember there was a private meeting too. Yes, that was afterwards. And then apparently what Trump does with everybody is he takes them to the one room next to the Oval Office and he goes, this is the blowjob room. And then they go, huh? And he goes, this is where Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton. And you get, that's how you get introduced to that room. Johan Peter Rupert's the only one who made sense. Some people just, suddenly have become massive Rupert fans. It's amazing. Some of those people were also the ones who hated him before. So you guys are going to make your mind up. Either you are sensible about this and all people are a little bit good and a little bit bad, or you hero worship and you villainize. And if you hero worship and villainize, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're going to be changing your mind a lot, embarrassingly, in public. Carla van Vesthuizen says, Cyril was like the project leader who had to keep referring to the people who actually did the work. Well, again, our planning, I don't know if they had a rehearsal, if they discussed what they were going to do, but it didn't seem like there was much planning going on there. And, Cyril, we know, is always surprised by everything. Here in South Africa, oh, I didn't know the CPD of Joburg was such a mess. How did this happen? And I don't know where the guy's getting his news, whether he gets an executive briefing from our intelligence services every day, because he should, as president. But he seems to be surprised by a lot of things. Oh, I don't know where I've put my iPad. You know? Like, dude, you're an embarrassment. Just get your shit together. I don't think he's ever had to work as hard as he did on Wednesday. The guy was sweating. He was struggling. He was suffering. A part of me felt very sorry for him. And that's what being a president's meant to be, hard work. But, you know, I don't think he's done that much hard work in the last couple of years. I think he's used to everybody being sycophantic, bowing and scraping, and get away with whatever he wants, smiles, passes someone some money, then they leave him alone. That's kind of what he's used to. He's not used to actually being forced to account for himself, which is great. Let's hope that that fear that we saw on his face stays there, because the people of South Africa should be able to bring that fear to all of our politicians. Let's go that way. I've got Simpiwe here. Look at how you snuck in.
Good morning.
Hello, Sims. Yeah. Was there traffic?
A bit.
Or was it
No, a bit now.
getting out of the cold bed?
It was. You know what happened? My little one woke me up at like 3 o'clock. And then I was like, I still have a bit of time. Let me go back to bed. Psh, worst decision ever. Because then waking up the second time around, you don't hear the alarm.
I didn't
and then
it.
you're just like, oh, crap. I need to get out of here.
I still don't have power.
Oh.
Because it's not a very interesting story. We talked about it on Wednesday, but they blew up or sabotaged or caught the fire substation caught fire. I don't know what.
You know it's going to take 3 years to fix that, eh?
Jesus. Well, then I'm leaving. Then I'm going to be a refugee.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't see any reason to put up with that shit.
Your house, your 5
Absolutely.
kids, and your mom.
I will sell everything. Sell everything and start again. Because that's not fun. But if they get it fixed in a week or two, then I'll be happy. Anyway, because of that, I don't have any hot water. So getting ready in the mornings is nightmarish. Cold showers and shit.
With this cold front.
But also lights, like I didn't know. I could have been wearing a clown outfit when I walked out of the house this morning. So I'm just glad I'm dressed,
Okay. So you know how to put yourself together in the dark. That's good. That
so
is very
Dirk
good.
says he had almost a decade, Cyril this is, and we're all talking about Cyril and Trump. Everybody is, right?
Yeah. It was
He had
like
almost
the
a
best thing
decade to
ever.
prepare for this moment. He knew this would eventually catch up with him.
No. I don't
What do you
think so.
What do you think? Because you just arrived.
I don't think so. I think they put a good foot forward, I guess. Not their best.
Oh, it was all right.
I think gifting him that golf book was a very good idea, knowing that Trump loves golf. I think they should have actually said pounds and not 14 kilograms, Americans. But I also think, they spoke the truth in terms of there are horrible things happening in South Africa.
Very bad things.
Which is crime, which is just crime. And I think the one part I did enjoy is when they threw Joan Steenhuisen under the bus and it's like,
My white minister. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Again, this is the only kind of reference to race that's acceptable in the world today, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing for us as a country. This is our white minister. He actually said, and this is my white minister. And I'm like, dude.
Because that's how we talk.
That's tokenism.
But that's how we talk as South Africans.
Imagine if I said, and this is my black friend Simpiwe. I just know that will be accepted by nobody. That's wrong.
Oh.
So when Cyril says that, it's embarrassing, and you can't talk like that. You say it's just like how we talk. I was saying earlier, if anything comes out of this meeting, there are 3 things for me. The failure of our government, that they just look stupid all over the world.
Oh, yes.
Number 2, that there will be all kinds of policies that have to be changed, that we have to negotiate, that we have to get our act in order if we want American investment and help from America, because my God, did they all beg. Even if you want to see 2 billionaires begging, just watch again and again. Just rewind and fast forward
But
and
it's
rewind.
amazing how
Johan
money...
Rupert and Cyril Ramaphosa begging Donald Trump.
I knew that was going to happen. So that's the one thing we know about Cupcake is that he's always going to ask for money wherever he goes, right? He always has them pam. But what was also interesting to see was how even you white guys want money, because you guys are changing your tune in terms of, oh, yes, there is no white farmers genocide. But now when you're talking in front of Donald, no, there isn't, but there is crime happening. It's like...
Yeah, but I do think that we have no one in the media, and I think the media bears a lot of responsibility for this. no one in the media, certainly internationally and even here locally, the mainstream media have taken the issues of farm killings, black or white people, but farm killings seriously.
Mm-hmm.
We know that living in rural South Africa is damn dangerous,
Don't
right?
do that.
You don't want to. And we know that we have an extraordinary murder rate in this country. We have an extraordinary rate of violence against women and children. We have a major problem. And the woman from Kasatu basically sold us down the river as well by saying we're a very violent society. I mean, I don't know. Someone who's planning their holiday is like, oh, well, let me see what Trump's up to. Oh, my God, I booked a holiday in South Africa. Cancel. That's not great. She did us no favors.
Yeah, I think that was also the issue where they were like, they just admitted to defeat because Trump was prepared. He was like, I got videos.
Oh my
I
God.
got screenshots.
Dim the lights.
You guys, he was ready for the spectacle. And all they could do was like, Cyril with his face, huh?
Yeah.
And is
I'm
that
so surprised.
Yeah, is that in South Africa? Where is this from? And I feel like they should have, if they knew that the angle was going to be like, there's just crime in South Africa, also talk about something else. Say, but Cape Town is one of the most, beautiful things. Like also,
Johan Rupert did. He said John Steenhuisen runs Cape Town, and there are more people murdered there than anywhere else.
That doesn't help. But I'm just saying, like, do something to sugarcoat it or take narrative to say, okay, yes, we came to talk about these white farmers. You've taken 49 of our Afrikaans
refugee people.
Brakpan is very empty now. But but then come with something else.
Is Brakpan very empty?
It is, hey? It is. I'm like, I might miss one or two, hey? But I'm just saying. And then come with a different narrative to say, but Trump, did you know this? Then you would have gotten him off guard.
Well, I
But
think,
no, you
I
want to
think
ask
he
for
had
money.
he had an agenda. A lot of people were expecting him to bring up the ICJ case against Israel. A lot of people were expecting him to bring up more economic interests, American companies, the financial changes he wants to see in our system. He didn't bring up any of that. He had a goal,
Yes.
and he was single-minded about it, and he delivered on that goal for his agenda.
Elon Musk was like giving them the stare down. Like
Yes,
that's all he
sis.
did. He was just
Elon Musk looked pissed off, huh?
yes. If looks could kill, I don't think we'd have a president today because damn, what a wow.
Yeah, that was quite something. But all in all, we are still here. We have things to do. We have a country that's worth not giving up on. And our president is going to, I think, I hope, I pray, come back with a little seriousness in his demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
Not because he's been told to do so, but because finally everybody's watching. And it counts. And it makes a difference. So there are a lot of funny memes going around. Have you got that picture of the kind of Trump, Ramaphosa? There. That's a good combo, right? Like, whoever that guy is, he looks like he'd be a better president for all of us. It's like the best of both worlds, or maybe the worst.
My word.
So there's that. Then this is a funny one that someone sent me with all these guys like looking like they've had a huge party at the White House afterwards. Cyril laughing in the background, Ernie and Johan and Donald and Elon. I mean, I don't think any of that happened because there was a press conference afterwards where, or the president was getting into or out of a car and going somewhere, and a journalist asked him something, and he like, you could hear his voice was like a little bit weak. I think he had a really rough day.
Yeah, but I think he'll play some golf afterwards because that's what Trump also does, play a lot of golf.
Yeah,
So-
it's definitely something he cares about, right? So Ben was right. Ben was right. Golf does matter. We're going to say that on a show where he's
Who would
not
have
here.
thought?
Yeah, we're going to say that while he's not here because I don't want him to get a bigger head than he
gosh.
already has about it.
But yeah, it might
yeah.
be the answer to everything, hey? Invite your golf friends.
After the Kasatu lady, Trump was like, fuck the G20, says Signet. Yeah. Absolutely. Turn down the lights must become a meme. Turn down the lights. In fact, yeah, if you're lucky enough to get some action this weekend, the first thing you must do is go, turn down the lights. Oh, it's good. You got to be able to laugh at this shit. And then while we're talking about laughing, we haven't spoken about Gorlock the Destroyer for a long time. I mentioned her in passing on Wednesday when James thought I was referring to Gorlock the Destroyer, but I was actually referring to someone else. But This has got to be one of the best clips I've ever seen.
Oh, let's see it.
This guy is about to watch a Gorlock the Destroyer interview or clip or something, and watch what happens.
No. No.
You know, he's probably like, that costs so much money. You just ruined so much. Like,
I
no
love
compliments.
that Gorlock is so enormous that she can break the computer the guy's watching on from a distance.
She's
All
not
right.
invited to do any more interviews.
So this is a report for this morning that after a seemingly tense meeting between the two presidents, President Cyril Ramaphosa is expressing optimism about future relations with the US. Oh, it went very well. We are very happy. It went very well. Ramaphosa described his meeting with US President Donald Trump as a great success. The president discussed a number of issues, including trade and Trump's claims of land seizures and genocide. Well, it's not Trump's claims. We have an expropriation bill. This government created an expropriation bill. Let's talk about claims of land seizures as if there's no such thing. Why would you make an expropriation bill if you don't intend to expropriate property? I'll wait. There isn't an answer. And the genocide thing we've dealt with. We've spoken about this for like 2 weeks now. I'm sick of it. No one said it was a genocide except Donald Trump. Okay, find me the source. Find me the person who says genocide in South Africa, who's using that word. It's a bit more complicated to describe it as whatever you want to describe it as rather than genocide. Can we just move on from that, please? The local media are obsessed with two words, genocide and refugees. Obsessed with them.
Yeah.
Do you know that word has been used more in the last 3 or 4 weeks? That, you know, if you do a Google search, you can check how a term is used over time. It's been used more in the last 2 to 4 weeks than it was ever used in the whole of the internet before then in South Africa.
There's been actual genocides
Oh,
happening.
yeah, like Rwanda, like Myanmar, like the Holocaust. Those are proper. And this is the one that people are talking about. It's
guys,
ridiculous.
nah.
Anyway.
Fake news.
Fake news. Trump continued to assert that a form of genocide is taking... assert, rather, that a form of genocide. Now, listen. It may not be genocide, but that does not mean that we shouldn't be talking about it. This has to do with the safety and security of South Africans. Farmers, farm workers, our food security. This is a big deal. And the media in this country and many people in the political classes don't talk about it. They pretend it doesn't exist. For the longest time, this very government of ours said there are no such things as farm murders. It doesn't happen. That's what they told us. They lied. So when Trump shows a video of all the crosses, which he called burial sites, they were not burial sites, but they were crosses. They were memorials to people who've been killed. Each one of those represents a life, a human life that is gone as a result of crime. Crime, which is particularly bad in rural parts of South Africa. So let's be honest about it. Call it what it is. Anyway, he says it's particularly targeting white Afrikaners. Well, they're the farmers, right? Mostly. His administration recently granted 49 Afrikaners refugee status in the US. And right, Simpiwe right. These are not going to be guys who are going to suddenly pick up the American economy and become, Elon Musk version 2.
No.
These are probably people, and you would not be a refugee if you were someone who could fix your life yourself. I don't mean this in a nasty, disrespectful way. We were talking earlier about how the only kind of bias that's tolerated in the world today, and people join in, is like anti-white stuff. I'm not going to do that, but these guys were, in the words of my American friend I had dinner with last night, a bit ratty.
Oh, I
Okay?
like that.
Yeah, a bit ratty. And then when I said to her, but you wouldn't say that about a Puerto Rican who came across the border, and she said, no, I don't think I would. So I said, yeah, so we shouldn't really be like singling them out for being trashy, even though they probably were. I think all refugees are trashy. That's why they're refugees. So at least you can't accuse me of being biased, because I think all of them are trashy. But I will say this. We're obsessed with whether they fit the definition of refugee or whatever else. What you're seeing more and more is a total collapse of the left's core values. the core values of the political left in the world, which have been the values of Western liberal democracies for the last 20 or so years. And they're falling apart now. So it's time for the new stuff. Either you catch up and you open up and you start talking about the new stuff, or you get left behind and you'll find yourself dwindling round and round in an ever-decreasing crowd of people in an old, dusty building. That's what's going to happen to people who don't see the new way of doing things. I think it's exciting. Let's see where it goes. I mentioned Neisner earlier. Neisner? Oh, you know where Neisner is?
Yes.
Okay, so have you ever been there?
No, I haven't.
Okay, you're not missing much. But
Don't say that.
no, especially not now. So it used to be a haven for wealthy South Africans and international buyers. They're facing a severe crisis. I mentioned this in the opening of the show this morning. The municipality has declared a state of emergency due to collapsing water supply and widespread service delivery failures. The story of Neisner is the story of the rest of the country, right?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I was just joking about the substation that blew up near me, but this is the kind of shit that happens either because things aren't maintained, or people steal things,
Yes.
or people sabotage and burn things. Now, I've heard that my municipality, we'll get back to Neisner in a second, the unions or the municipal
Don't tell me
workers
they're on strike.
they're arguing because they didn't get an automatic increase. You know, because it's meant to be automatic. You're doing the same job, if not, you're doing a worse job than you did last year, but you want an increase. And, of course, the municipality in Tshwane is broke because I think our mayor's from Action SA or something, and they can't pass a budget because they don't have enough support, or I don't know what's happening. But Tshwane, Pretoria, is a fucking disgrace. And Neisner now is as well. And that's why things like this are happening.
But I don't understand, Bazix. I really don't, because it's been raining. I know that there's some places they haven't had water, you don't have electricity.
No.
And you're just like, if you think about it, it's been raining. The reservoirs have been like full. I've seen videos.
Dams are all, the Val Dam is like 100 and something %.
Yes, and then there's places with no water, and you ask yourself, how though? Like, what is going on? Where are we getting this wrong?
Because the guys who are meant to be managing it don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. And
It's cadres who've been deployed and politicians who are bickering with each other and Action SA trying to get in on the action.
they bore me.
Literally.
Yeah. And then also,
The only people who suffer are us.
I know, right?
Right.
And apparently there's going to be like a fuel increase because Minister of Finance is trying to get more money. So now he's taxing petrol. And I'm just like,
So
this guy.
instead of the VAT increase, which he was trying to push through, which he couldn't do, now he's just going to tax our fuel more.
Yes. And then he's like, no, we mustn't be against this fuel increase because they're trying to get more revenue. They're trying to get money. And this is not, the government is not about popularity. I'm like, if you did your job, people won't be opposed to you
This is it, right?
increasing things. And it's like, guys, we can't.
So he is the perfect illustration of the problem. Because the reason that the municipal workers are striking is they say they want an increase. There is no more money in the coffers. The municipality can't run things properly because they're a disaster as well. But guess who pay the taxes? The citizens who are being punished by not having service delivery. So eventually what happens is the people who are paying, who are making who are greasing the wheels so that they can turn, stop paying. Either because they don't have any money or because they're not getting anything for their money. And then all those people who are on the take, in other words, every politician, they all have nothing to gain from being in politics anymore. So that's what's happening too. Don't diss our Pretoria mayor. She's a doctor who cuts grass.
Oh.
I know nothing about our mayor. I didn't even know it was a woman. Fuel increase is ridiculous. Oil prices have plummeted. How is it possible? I mean, they're trying to, it's a stealth tax, like Simpiwe said.
Yo.
So they couldn't get VAT increased, remember? Because the courts eventually said you cannot pass this budget with this VAT increase. It's unconstitutional in some way, shape, or form. That was thanks to the opposition parties, the DA, the MK party, and the EFF, who managed to get that court case won. Because guess what? South Africans don't want to pay any more tax. So instead of realizing that they have to cut their coat according to their cloth, the government, You've only got this much to spend. They're now trying to find other ways to gouge money out of you, me, Simpiwe, and everyone else.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do is go after your fuel, because they can just put an increase on the fuel price, and everybody who serves fuel to anyone else, wherever it's sold, they just have to pay the government their due. So it's a way of them to extort and squeeze more money out of us. It's unacceptable, but what are you going to do? And the average South African, we think we're paying a lot for fuel, and we are. But poor people in this country, when they have to catch taxis and buses, they are being destroyed by the cost of transport. They worked out some years ago, I remember somewhere around 2012, there was a survey done, some research that was collected on the fact that up to 40% of some people's earnings are spent on just getting to and from work.
Yo, that's a lot.
It's disgraceful. If you think about people who have to go and do hard manual labor, they wake up at 4 a.m, they have to catch 2 or 3 taxis to get to where they're going, and they spend a full 40% of everything they get on just getting to and from work.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you're going to punish those people, Godongwana? Nice. That's great. So much for empathy and caring.
Slow that.
You know?
And what's sad is that I think, like with public transport, taxis in particular, they do not decrease. It doesn't matter what happens in the economy.
No way.
They could have said, in fact, the fuel's going down, they're going to keep the same prices. So now that the fuel's going up, if you're paying 14 Rand for that taxi ride, it's going to be 15 Rand, and it will stay 15 Rand for the next 3 years. And if there's another increase, it's going to be 16 Rand in a few months. So it's really sad that that is probably now 80%. People spending 80% on transport.
Well, Patrick Vianello says the DA speak with forked tongue. They increased the rates and taxes in Cape Town. Yeah, but at least you guys get services in Cape Town,
And I think that's the point. If it is working, if you are doing your job, no one complains. No one's like, oh my gosh, I'm paying 10 Rand more for petrol or levies or this. Because it's I see what you're doing. The issue here is that we do not see what the government is doing. So why am I paying you more? To do what? Just eat nice and then I must suffer. It doesn't work like that. We must both be happy in this situation. And right now, no one's happy.
No. South Africa only borrow to pay for the day-to-day expenses, not for investment or growth. If you have a business, you know how this ends. Yeah, that's correct. Eventually, you run out of other people's money. That's what's happening. There's a new documentary on YouTube, says Bitcoin Bud, about our taxi industry. I feel sorry for anyone in the passenger seat. Yeah, that's tough.
It's very tough.
Imagine we had a working rail system instead of the taxi mafia running public transport. Well, we used to, but then we started burning trains and destroying infrastructure, and the municipality stopped looking after it. And now it costs people 40% of what they take home to pay, just to live. Taxes, theft, yes, Bitcoin, but I agree. Ricky says, like Mark Burke always says, there's no revenue problem. South Africa has an expenditure problem. What the hell's wrong with the left? They're praising Cupcake for his American lounge meeting. People have such fucking short memories. Deadliest snatched. Yeah, you're going to hear... you saw this. I don't know if you follow libs of TikTok on Instagram or X, but they put together a video with the word ambush in it from all the American media. President Cyril Ramaphosa was ambushed. And then they go through all the clips, and every news network is using the word ambush because the talking points have gone out. The media are so ready to fall in line behind a certain narrative, which is why you can't trust them anymore. And if you know anybody, I keep saying this because it needs to be said, if you know anybody, it's usually old people, and they watch the TV news every night. They read articles in mainstream news services. They believe the commentariat that has misled them about everything in the last 15 years. You've got to get them off of that stuff. If it's your parents, if it's your friends, if it's your family, stop them because it's bad for their mental health. They're being lied to. The stuff is just sheer propaganda and nothing else. And yet these are the same people who will claim that there is misinformation and disinformation everywhere. Stop listening to them. They're just really crappy at their job. You don't hate the media enough. You need to hate them more. Give me money for my G-Wagon. That's what the ANC always say. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I don't know how many people are in every cavalcade with a blue light that I've seen recently, but there are a lot of cars, and all of them are shiny and black and new, and they are expensive.
Oh, yes.
And that's just the people around the car with the supposed VIP in it.
Yes. Do you know how many times we've seen like these minister cars passing by because our building is right by the highway, so we can see. And you just like, I wonder who's passing today, you know? And you just like, you see all these cars, you see the blue lights, and you're like, this is so much just for one person.
For what?
And I promise you, no one's trying to assassinate them.
No one even knows who most of the ministers are. We only know one or two of them.
Yeah. And even those guys, they're
We
not
know
worth.
Enoch Godongwana because he's trying to get our money.
Maybe
right?
him. Maybe we should put something on him. But I'm just saying, you know.
We
and
know
then,
Gwede. We know
Isn't she
Gwede.
retired yet? She's still in.
No, Gwede Mantashe.
Oh.
You
Never
know the
mind.
one with the underbite is
Yes,
the minister of...
never mind.
He's our acting president this week while Cyril was away.
This is why they're doing this nonsense about the fuel. This is why.
You think?
This is why. They were like,
You think, great.
my
Okay, and then
chance.
there's the white minister, John. Remember? Here's my white minister, John. There's him. Let me just think. We've got Paul Mashatile. He's like deputy president, but he doesn't really
what
do
does he do?
Nothing.
And like in actual.
What does it? I've been asking this for years. What does a deputy president do?
Are
Why
you just waiting to be the next
Why
president?
are we paying for a deputy president and deputy ministers?
And also in this case, legit question. When the president is gone, isn't the deputy president
Yeah, he's meant
supposed
to be.
to?
But he was also away.
Okay, guys, yeah, this circus is
Spending
very.
our money overseas.
This circus, it must
It's
be
a-
nice.
So who else can we name? This is a good game to play, actually. Gayton,
Gayton McKenzie, yes, that
Minister
is
of
true.
Sport.
That is true. That is very true. Okay. Those are the new guys, hey? Okay, Herman Mashaba, he's in.
no,
Isn't he a minister?
No.
Oh, no.
Please, he's having
Oh.
it sounds like he's having a mental breakdown. You watch his Twitter.
I don't know.
I can't think of any others.
I can't.
That's pretty much it.
That's
He's-
fine.
Yeah. that-
And don't we have like 32?
Oh, this is my whole point. They want to make us pay more for fuel, but they can't cut their own ministers. We need 10 maximum. 10. You know, we're a small country, hey?
We are. We don't need those many.
We don't
People in
need
leadership.
and each ministry has a deputy minister, and then they've got a director general, and they've got a deputy director general, and these are just the
And
people.
these people don't have qualifications.
No. Some of them do. Some of them do. Let's give credit where it's due. There are some people, particularly at director general level. There we go. Look at that. That's this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4. Jesus. That's a lot of ministers.
Angie is still there.
Angie.
Betunana.
She's the Minister of Defense.
That's why the people were getting killed. It was at 30%. They went to
Angie.
Congo and
Angie.
gunned down. Angie. Oh, wow.
What an embarrassment, really. That's a lot of people. I mean, 32 ministers are on that. That's not even including the president and deputy president.
Guys, we must change
Bladen
this.
Zimande's still there. He's still got a job.
Why
Bladen
does it seem like
Zimande-
Parliament is like the place to go when I want to retire? Like, these people are old.
Patricia DeLille. Oh my God. What a disgrace. Really. I mean, I don't think if any of those people walked past you in the street, you would know who they were. You might recognize 4 or 5 of them.
And I'd
you
still
know.
be like, I know you from somewhere, but,
Yeah, but
I'm
you
not
wouldn't
sure.
like, but you wouldn't if you were an assassin. You wouldn't know where to find these guys. So why do they need 10 cars in their blue light brigade and bodyguards? Who is trying to kill Bladen Zimande? No one even knows
I think he's trying to kill
he's
himself.
alive anymore.
You know? Like,
Nobody
he's not
cares.
healthy.
Like, honestly, no one in the world. If Angie Mochecha walked past you in the shops, you'd go, that gogo looks familiar. But you wouldn't do any. I don't know anyone in this country who would go up and like try to steal her purse or whatever. You know? Hey, Gog Ange. What's happening there with the soldiers? Jesus.
No.
Barbara Creasy, Minister of Transport, doesn't look like she catches a bus. Yeah, exactly. I wonder how she's meant to be looking after the public transport infrastructure, right? So why isn't she standing up to Minister Enoch Godongwana and saying, actually, you should not be trying to scalp South African passengers. You're taking advantage of them with this fuel thing. Aibo. Okay, easy to follow them. Just find them, follow the blue lights. They have Smolanyala skeletons, says Pumlani. That's why we need to look out for them. South Africa has more cabinet members per capita than the most developed countries and even some larger developing ones. Yeah, we have. I think we have the biggest cabinet in the world.
That's ridiculous.
That's
we need to change that. Cut it. Cut everything. Just cut it.
Right.
And then we'll make money. And then, also, Minister of Finance, start thinking creatively. Stop taxing South Africans. I think that's always been the base of, how our Minister of Finance has always moved. Tax. Right now, you can't do that. Think creatively. There are other ways. Talk to people that have gone and studied finance and whatnot and accountants. They can tell you that there's other ways of getting money without taxing South Africans, because it doesn't matter which way you pull at. VAT, the fuel. We don't have the money for it. We really don't. Mm-hmm. You might even want to tax us for something else. We don't have the money for it. So stop. That's not an option.
When you squeeze a cloth and no more water comes out?
That's where we're at. It's done. It's done, Chief. So stop taxing us. Whatever you're thinking, just stop. Bring up over. And then come up with solutions. And we'll listen and follow you. But until then.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. The boards of our SOEs look the same. It's full of cater. Well, tell me what the board of SAA are still doing. There's a...
Aren't they always needing a bailout? Oh, gosh, Nabo.
I don't even know if they've got planes at the moment, but it's still a thing. And there's a board, and those people are paid.
Okay.
Guys. Anyway, let's turn our attention to some other things. Otherwise, we're going to go crazy this morning. So... the South African who won the world's strongest man, what's his name? Reno or what?
Neil.
Is it Neil?
Yeah.
Reno Nel.
Oh,
Sorry.
close enough.
Reno Nel. Huge, powerful, strong guy. I love it. I love that we are the country with the strongest man.
Just RSA.
There we go.
Look at that.
Jesus.
And apparently
look at them lifting those trophies. Those trophies probably weigh, 150 kilograms. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently he was the underdog in this competition. And he was competing with guys that had already won this before.
Oh.
And they thought he wasn't going to make it past the group stages. And look at him.
Apparently here, somebody said to me that he's going to grow the strength sport in South Africa.
Oh, okay. One biltong at a time. Let's go.
But it's not bodybuilding. It's weightlifting. It's strongman. This is a strongman competition. So they have to pull a bucky and push a truck and lift heavy things. And you have to be a real machine to get that stuff right.
Just even trying to push a car, a regular car. When your petrol has run out or it's overheated and you kind of just... that takes 4 or 5 men.
Yeah.
Imagine now someone pulling a whole bucky. Oh. Wow. Shout out to him. I'm actually very impressed.
Okay, well, I am too. I think it's great. I said on Wednesday when we had Alan on the show, there were 3 things on Wednesday we could celebrate before we went into the Oval Office with Cyril. We won this strongman competition.
Yes.
African Cup of Nations.
Yes.
Right?
Also with that, before we
move on.
I'd like to say I'm very happy with the boys. Halala, halala. But you guys have to keep on winning for it to be normalized now, so that we can celebrate at Springbok level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the pressure now.
No, they're nowhere near that, but we'll take the small win.
I'm just saying that's the pressure now. Keep winning. Keep this up.
No, sure.
So that we can all now on Fridays do Bafana Fridays. You know what I mean?
That would be nice.
That is just an idea that I'm planting to the boys, because it would be nice to celebrate you guys.
The other one is that we won a gold medal at the Chelsea Flower Show. Don't laugh, Simpiru. We're going to take what we can get.
Hey, just repeat that.
We won a gold medal at the Chelsea Flower Show. No, there's a South African, what would you call him, a landscape gardener or horticulturalist or whatever. He had beautiful pink proteas and like this red. No, Chelsea Flower Show is a big thing if you're a gardening person. You know? It's a big deal. I mean, the king went there and everything.
I'm trying to be serious.
No, you're not. So that's the third thing that we won.
Wait. There's a whole competition for flowers.
There he is. That's the guy. You see? No, that guy's famous in the gardening world. Simpiwe, you.
So wait, what? You get points for what, cutting and?
No, it's like a little. You have to make a garden. So you get a certain plot and you have to make a garden, and it has to be, all the plants have to look fantastic, and I think it runs for a few days.
So what, he put what, the
Each country comes and does an exhibition. It's like a World Trade Fair, but for plants. All right. Okay.
Congrats. No DNA, just RSA.
Yeah, very good. I see Christian Amanpour eventually got round to interviewing Ronald Lamola. I don't know how well that went, but I don't think so. He says it was not an easy outing. This is Ronald Lamola. We had expected that it would be robust, it would be engaging, and it would involve facts. But how embarrassing. So, I mean, Christian Amanpour doing heavy lifting there for the South African government. Who knows why? I also heard this week that Scott Adams, the Dilbert cartoon guy, who's become a bit of a political commentator, he told everybody that he has cancer.
Oh, no.
You know, Joe Biden has also come out and said he's got cancer.
With Biden, I think we knew something was off with that man.
Well, yeah, but everybody was lying about Biden for the longest time. What I want to say about Scott Adams quickly, we'll get back to Biden in a second. But Scott Adams said, and he apparently got a call from the president, and he's been given lots of support online, and you know, he's a really, really cool, thoughtful guy. He said, like, I'm dying. I don't want any of that, like, you're gonna beat this nonsense. He's like, no, we all die from something. We're all dying. It's just at different rates. He said he doesn't want anyone feeling sorry for him. He is ready for this. Let's go. He's not going to try and fight it. He's not going to go for any treatments or anything. He's going to just see it through. I think that's kind of dignified and brave. And you don't see that very often these days, because you see people going, no, you've got to live. You've got to live. We'll do everything we can to keep you alive. And it takes a very tough person to go, no, I know what this means. And I get to say goodbye, and I've got maybe a couple of weeks, couple of months.
Yeah.
Maybe if I'm lucky, a couple of years, but this is my story, which I think is tremendous. So I think it's awful that he's got cancer.
Yes.
But, you know, something's going to get all of us. And at least Scott Adams showing a little bit of real dignity and bravery there. So I like it. Okay, when we come back, we will get into a bunch of other stuff, including the stories that Simpiwe wants to talk about this morning, and a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere.
This was somebody who cut up things for Muche, and he took my little dog and he...
You've seen the Queen's knickers and so many more. Make some love and show some, make some noise and show some love for Kate Turkington in the building.
Hello, Dumela, Sawabona, how's it? And welcome to another edition of the On the Bounce Show. After many entertaining matches across a variety of tournaments, we are down to the finals, the big kahunas, when it comes to football matches this season. 4 major finals, 8 big teams, all with hopes and dreams, and one special guest to bring it all together. It's ex-professional footballer Dane Clayt, joining the guys in studio to bring us up to speed on what to expect in the upcoming finals this month. Arsenal fans, perhaps catch up with us again next week. It's episode 48. It's trophy time. Let's get into it.
Jeez, what's that?
Is that DJ Khaled?
What? Okay, that is. So that was apparently DJ Khaled.
Another one.
It's like a giant hippopotamus running on the beach. What the hell?
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that.
All right, well,
Shucks.
welcome to your Friday morning. Simpua and I are here to keep you company, and Ben is still playing golf in Scotland or something.
Living his best life.
Yeah,
Living his
really.
best
And,
life.
you know, this week we found out that golf really is important.
Hey, man, I didn't even know they make books that heavy about golf. Like,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Golf is the biggest thing for, you know, people who matter in the world, clearly. I mean, the only guys who were able to get anything through to Donald Trump seem to have been golfers.
Yeah. You know, Cyril made the joke of that, like, going back to that just for 2 seconds. He made a joke about, I don't have a plane to give you. He should have said, well, I do have a golf, you know.
I've got some golf courses.
Yeah, that you can look
Well,
at, you know.
I mean,
Maybe
it's-
that will entice him. And
It's interesting
hey.
that usually they say that a town or a city is really in shit when they don't have a single golf course.
Ooh.
That's how you can tell that it's a sign of serious economic decline.
Because the wealthy people are gone.
Well, it's not so much wealthy people, but golf is it's like a statement about we're going to cultivate this place to make it nice, to make it attractive, to make it worth playing on. People, rich and poor people, like playing golf. I think it's a sign if a city or town doesn't have a golf course anymore that there is severe economic decline happening there. And I wonder how many of those little towns in South Africa have golf courses anymore. Because they all used to. Every one of them used to have. So we'll see what happens there. But anyway, golf is very important and Ben is playing it. And there are also stories that are lots of people talking about Johan Rupert and his mansions. I mean, we knew he was a billionaire before. What did you think he was living in a squatter shack?
Like, imagine. And also when he made the joke about that he, like, sleeps in his farm
Yeah.
with the doors, like,
Yeah.
unlocked or something like that. I laughed because I was like,
Yeah, but
he's
you-
rich.
he's
He
got
has
lots of
security.
security guards.
It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
Stop trying to be there every day, man. Because, you know, us South Africans, we don't do that. We have butlers everywhere.
So you wanted to talk about this, and I think it's an excellent thing. Tourists are not welcome in Spain. Is this because of the over-tourism?
Yes, so it's been a thing. It's
Because
not the first time.
Achi told me about this on Wednesday last week when I was at the Travel Indaba.
So it's not a first time thing. It's been happening. Like the people in Spain are like, we want
out.
everybody out.
Get out.
Like we want you guys out, okay? But now it's gone to a point where now the government has like ordered, I think, 66,000 Airbnbs to shut down their listings,
Yes, sis.
right? And they're just like having these protests saying that they don't want any tourists in the country. And the kicker in all of this is that the tourism, what's this?
Sector, department.
Sector has
whatever.
actually gone up. There's been
Oh,
more tourism over the past year with all these protests taking place with people basically kicking them out. And the tourists are like, we ain't going anywhere.
In fact, they're coming in numbers.
Yes, and they're like, if we don't come, you guys don't have an economy. So what you gonna do?
What? I love this, the law of unintended consequences, right? So often when people try to achieve something, it triggers something that makes it even worse. The Streisand effect is often called in as an example of this. So once upon a time, Barbara Streisand tried to get her home, which was photographed, I think somewhere on the internet, there was a photograph of Barbara Streisand's home. Mm-hmm. And she took this website to court. It could have been Google Earth. I can't remember. But she took them to court to try and get this image removed. Mm-hmm. She didn't want people to know where she lived.
Okay.
And then as a result of that, all the attention was on where she lived. And this often happens, you'll have someone who we don't even know about sues somebody over a relationship that went wrong or something. And they're actually trying to keep it quiet, but it ends up becoming much bigger news.
Yes.
Kind of a Streisand effect is what they call it. Now, in this case, Spain don't want any more tourists. They believe that they're being over-visited.
Yes.
The country has become impossible for the people who live in it, particularly places like Barcelona.
Yes.
So they're now trying to stop tourists.
Yes.
And in trying to stop them, they've made the problem even bigger.
Yes, because the tourists are like, but we like it there. We want to go there. And they are going there in numbers.
Sorry, Spain.
It's actually, I laughed a bit because it's so South African as well. Like, I was like, hey, man, when your mom's like, don't do that. They're telling you do it and you'll see what happens. You know what I mean? And I am getting that feeling with the tourists that are going to Spain deliberately. They're like, oh, you saying we mustn't do it? We'll see.
Can we get on to everybody's favorite subject at the moment, the Puffy Combs trial, Sean P. Diddy.
Oh, my word.
Rapper Kid Cudi has testified.
Yes.
Now, you know the story there?
You know what I did? I took a break. I know who's going to take the stand, but I've not listened to what they've said because I'm still stuck on Cassie and what she had to go through for the past 10 years and that she was testifying pregnant in her 3rd trimester. I think she's given birth or going to give birth. And I was like, you know what? Let's take a break. But I did see that Kid Cudi is going to take the stand or will be taking the stand and quite a few other celebrities. And I'm just like, are we ready to hear what this man has done?
So it turns out, everybody,
Gareth was saying
it turns out like this P. Diddy's a really bad guy.
Yes!
Not a good human being.
At all.
No,
and
apparently.
I used to look up to him and I was like, you go, black man. Because they even created like this whole black excellence thing. They used to have the Rockefeller breakfast or something like that.
Does protest too much,
Yes.
Like trying too hard here.
Yeah, but it was
to
also
try and
like,
hide the horrible monster that he was inside.
Well, to us, the everyday, people, we're like, look at that. If P. Diddy, Jay-Z, and all these black guys in America, they can do it. They can, come out and be successful. I can do it. And now we're like, whoa, I don't want this anymore. I don't want this. I don't think I want to be that successful anymore.
So Kid Cudi was involved here because apparently he had a relationship with what was then Diddy's ex, Cassie, right?
Yes.
So he was having a relationship with another guy's ex. But this other guy, P. Diddy, was crazy. So apparently he got a call from Cassie. This is Kid Cudi. He got a call from her saying, I'm really scared. She said to him, I don't know what to do. I need your help. Please, can you hide me at a hotel? So he booked a hotel room for her under a false name, hid her there, and Combs' assistant then revealed that he had entered the home. This is Combs. Shortly after, Cudi's car was torched next to a Molotov cocktail, matching Ventura's claim that Combs had threatened to blow it up in a jealous rage. This P. Diddy, he wasn't with Cassie anymore, but he still would not allow her to have any kind of relationship with anyone else. Molotov cocktails and cars were involved, and hiding of people in hotels to protect them from violence. This is a bad guy. I mean, the baby oil and all that shit aside, which is pretty disgusting.
How you even get to that obsession?
You know, I got to tell you, I thought this was a fun story with the parties and Ellen DeGeneres sliding down slip and slides with baby oil into pools full of lesbians. But I got to tell you, it's getting pretty gross. It's getting pretty
You're walking
sick.
past that baby oil now in the stores and you're like,
You know that smell of baby oil? I reckon Diddy just smelled like that all the time.
oh, gross. Like,
Huh?
it's so gross. Like, this man, I actually was thinking of the song by Mariah Carey, Why You So Obsessed With Me? Like, and I'm just like, why was he so obsessed with Cassie? And that's the one thing that keeps going on in my mind. Like, how do we get there? How does an individual get to the state of like having these freak offs, falling in love with baby powder, not baby powder, baby oil to a point where it needs to be, man.
There was probably powder involved, but it weren't baby powder.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then like now wanting to just, scare this man and blow up his car. Like, why? How did we get there? What happened, Diddy? What happened to him?
Yeah, he must have had a very messed up childhood. It must have been a very unhappy.
Because you don't wake up like that.
No.
Like something turns you into that,
I
right?
do think that maybe also what happens is these guys become so rich and so famous, and they convince themselves that they are all powerful. There's nothing they can't do. There's nothing they can't have. And it goes to their heads. You know, they say power corrupts.
Yes.
So maybe there's a part of that he was already clearly a bit of a nutcase. But then as he got more powerful...
I don't know. Yikes, man. I don't know. And there was someone in the office, I won't name who that person is. You could probably guess. They stance on this whole like P. Diddy trial.
Is it PH?
Because
he was at the party.
I know, right? I won't mention.
PH, okay.
And his whole thing when Cassie was testifying was like, there must have been a part of Cassie that enjoyed this because she endured it for so long. And I was like, no, sir.
You get that.
I don't think so.
No, you get that.
But their stance is like, yeah, they probably enjoyed it. And that's why they were the face of it all. They're the ones who caught the person.
Well, there are people who are professional victims. They will find a way to always be, as long as they're getting attention, even if it's negative attention and violent attention sometimes. There are people who are addicted to that. There are also masochists, just like there are sadists who hurt people and masochists who like being hurt. So it is a thing. Psychologists will back that up. Maybe that's something to talk to Dr. Hanan about, because that's some pretty dark stuff.
Right. Yeah. And it's just always trying to understand the psychology. Like, I'm like, there's a special place in hell for him. Like, he's going to rot in hell. Like, that's okay. Diddy, I've made peace with that. It's fine. I've written him off. In my eyes, he's already guilty. You know what I mean? But, like, I'd like to understand, how did this person get there? Because surely not. Because I also then look at Hollywood as, like, all these celebs that are famous, that are, doing all of this. What is happening?
Well, I think it's a very
homes?
twisted place. So that partly, and I do think it's bifurcated. So you've got people who are crazy from the start.
Yes.
And maybe that crazy drives them to success.
Ish.
So they become successful because they're a little bit different. Especially in the entertainment business.
Yeah,
you could be just a bit strange. Don't tell me Tom Cruise is all normal. Right?
No, but he's also, I can back that on up because he's part of that crazy thing.
The Scientology.
Yes. Yeah. And I already know those people are just not okay.
There's crazy beforehand, and then there's that you become crazier when you're in it. Mm-hmm. And I think the combination of the two just results in some very messed up people. If you've ever looked to Hollywood for role models, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, I'm learning that now. Growing up, I used to be like, Oprah, you're so amazing. Then I learned the truth, and I was like, maybe you're not that great.
How much update have you got for us on Meghan Markle, by the way? I mean, I haven't seen anything for like 2 weeks. I'm worried about her. I'm worried about Harry. I'm very concerned for
she's
their safety.
She's probably going to come out with like a podcast. Okay, she's done that. And
she's done that?
Yeah, I think she's done that.
Come out with a cooking show? Oh, wait, she's done that. She's come out with a tell-all... documentary about the royal family.
She's done that.
Yeah. Maybe she's just out of ideas.
No, she'll do something. No. What that attention? She likes attention.
Maybe she'll appear on Suits again. Maybe that's the only thing that she did well out of all of those things we've just mentioned.
Hey, maybe she might start a foundation to help
She had.
other.
She started that, the
Oh, damn.
Archie Well thing or whatever it's called.
Oh, damn.
See?
She's done it all in a very short period of time. Not even like
and
a.
badly. All of it badly.
Or-
you think you can marry a prince, become a princess. She did that too, but she did it badly.
I
and
saw
then ruined
this
it.
great skit by Megyn Kelly. So I don't really follow
yeah.
Megyn Kelly, but she did this amazing skit of basically roasting Meghan Markle and her cooking show and how like fake it is.
Yeah.
And she basically copies what she says, but you can just see the fakeness. It's hilarious. If you have time, anybody, it's like 4 minutes
Yeah, Megyn Kelly does not like Meghan Markle.
at all. But that was brilliant. I think that was a brilliant skit. I'm like, you go, Megyn Kelly. You did a great job.
I think there are
Love
two
it.
people who really hate her the most. Megyn Kelly and Piers Morgan.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
They do not have a lot of
I
time.
feel like
for
if you
Megyn.
want to ruin his day, just mention her name.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just
He'll just
like,
go into a rant. Oh, I do hate that Meghan Markle. Let me tell you something. She's absolutely appalling. Anyway, talking about appalling, I don't know if you saw Megyn Kelly interviewing Jake Tapper. So Jake Tapper, the guy who used to have, I think he might still have, I don't know, a show on CNN. Mm-hmm. And he's just written a tell-all book about Biden's mental decline and the cover-up, how it was all hidden. So obviously Jake Tapper was part of this, which makes it complicated. He was a CNN journalist, had quite a lot of access to the White House, it's fair to say. He covered for Joe Biden. He did nothing to expose the obvious cognitive decline, which now everyone's admitting. Now the cancer as well has been made public. The family decided they would tell everybody, ironically, in the week that Jake Tapper's book comes out, almost to distract. So he was probably totally senile and probably already had cancer for, I don't know, a year or two. Which makes you wonder why they ran him as president until that debate. Because the only reason they pulled out of the run for president was when the debate was such a disaster that everyone in America could see that the guy wasn't all there. And then they were like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what, we'll step aside for Kamala. I think it's especially bad for Jill Biden. Because what kind of wife would abuse and allow her husband to be abused like that? If your husband is suffering from cognitive decline and he's an old man in his 80s and he also has cancer, which they would have known about, he's the president. They test presidents for everything.
Yes,
they give you a
regularly.
physical. They're saying they didn't do enough of the PSAs, the cancer tests. I don't know about that. But I got to tell you, if you're the president of the United States and they have not checked you for cancer since 2017 or whatever it was, 2014, there's something wrong. There's something, you're either hiding something or you don't want people to know. So you're just going, I'm not going to go for the test in case they find out and then the people will know.
I think he went for the tests. I think his wife was like, okay, I've never liked you all those years of being married to you. This is my time to get back at you.
That is mean.
Because women do that. They hold a grudge. Like, you could have hurt her like 20 years ago. You said something, you didn't apologize. And now she's like, oh, this is my time.
Well, that is disgusting.
This is my time to do it. And this is how we're going to do it. Because why would you? Like, you can see this man is not okay.
Yeah, and
And you still allow so many people to
she
be
was
in
wheeling
his...
him out on the campaign trail, even for Kamala. You know, they were trying to, and she hates Kamala Harris, Jill Biden, because Kamala Harris has kind of stepped into the fray. She was quite enjoying being the president, because
Yes.
Joe wasn't. This is the other thing that I'd like to ask anyone who watches this show that's American, anybody in South Africa who has an answer for me, I'd love to know. Who was actually running the country? If it is now abundantly clear that Joe Biden didn't know whether he was a teapot or a hockey stick, who was actually running things? Who was signing all those pardons? Remember right at the end? There were like thousands of pardons being handed out left, right, and center to all kinds
And the
of
one
very
pardon
bad
that he
people.
said would never take place
Hunter.
took place.
Yeah.
And I think that's a mama. She was like, if you're going to pardon everybody else's kid, you got to pardon my kid as well.
Yeah, it's complicated because Hunter is not actually Jill's kid. Hunter is Joe's kid with his previous wife who died in a car accident. But anyway, I mean, you make the point. I think Joe Biden clearly was not there. So who was? Who was in charge? Who was running the world's most powerful country for 4 years? Who was actually making decisions, deciding what policies would be implemented left, right? We know it was a disaster, right? We know it was run like a spaza shop for a while because that administration did nothing to cover itself in glory. That disgraceful Afghanistan withdrawal, a mismanagement of COVID, certainly in the latter part of COVID. We had, Black Lives Matter protests. We had destruction of public infrastructure and total deterioration in places like the Federal Aviation Authority, where we had planes flying into each other, and airports not knowing whether they were going this way or that way. And those are only a few things that I can remember, because who can recall with our news cycle what happened 2 or 3 years ago? But obviously the Biden administration has a lot to answer for, and maybe it wasn't even Joe. Maybe we should just accept that this old guy didn't know what was happening, and he was being pushed in front of the cameras by Jill and by a whole lot of other people. Mm-hmm. And I reckon that that's a kind of treason, because you're lying to the United States population. Somebody's got to go to jail for this lie. You can't get away with a shadow government. In truth, this was a conspiracy.
Yes.
You talk about conspiracies.
Oh, this is it. And how...
This was a group of people who got together
Yes.
to hide the fact that the president
It's not okay.
didn't know what was going on.
Yes.
Couldn't keep it together.
And how, like, in Hollywood, they always talk about handlers. How,
Yeah.
like, these celebrities, these
Right.
handlers, and there's people actually controlling where they're going to be and what they're doing and who they speak to. And I think for the first time, we're seeing it play out in real life with the White House and the president. Like, he was being handled. Like, someone was saying, okay, you're going to be there, you're going to
Yeah.
do this, and he was just like, oh, okay, I'm going to do it. And we all saw that he was not okay. And then they tried gaslighting us. I think that was also the issue.
Yes.
They tried gaslighting us to say, this man is perfectly healthy.
That's
like,
right. Guys like Jake Tapper.
Imagine.
There
And
was
they're like,
Joe Scarborough, who does a show called Morning Joe in America, who said, I've never seen Biden looking better. He's the best version of Biden. Those were his exact words. The best version of Biden I've ever seen. And people are like, we can't trust you ever again.
Yeah. And so
they were actually asked, they were saying to people, how dare you accuse Joe Biden of having cognitive decline? The guy, that is elder abuse. You are being an ageist.
That was their favorite word. You are being ageist.
Yeah, you're
and
being
it's
ageist.
like, no, man, we know old people. We grew up with old people. There's old people around us. We know the science. This man is old, and you guys were gaslighting us, like literally saying that no, he's fine. So who were those people who are also like around him to say, yeah, this is what you're gonna do and this is what you're gonna say? Because they clearly, he was healthy enough to follow some instructions, right? But not okay enough to do it himself.
Needed handlers. So I want to know
Who
who
are those
those
people?
people are. And they need to be charged with crimes.
Yes.
Because they
The
were...
plot thickens. In America,
This is a big story.
Sure.
So I know we're all focused on, Trump and Cyril this week in the Oval
that's
Office.
nothing.
But this is a big story, How long has he had the prostate cancer for? It spread to his bones. That doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't. That takes time.
So people have got to now own up and be honest. Like, they have to be honest about things like COVID, which we're discovering all kinds of new stuff every other day about the vaccines. Now it turns out there was a guy who was in charge of vaccines who said the Israelis told the Americans about 3 or 4 months into 2020 that there were potential side effects from the vaccines. The Israelis, and you know what the Americans did? They went, shh, just keep it quiet because we don't want people being vaccine deniers. So that's all coming out now in the wash. And if you were one of those people who called everybody names if they didn't go along with Dr. Fauci, and if
Who's
you were one
also
of those
come out to say
exactly, and if you're one of those people who said that you're a terrible ageist, if you happen to notice that Joe Biden had mental decline, if you're one of those people, you have a lot to answer for. You've got to apologize. I would start with A on your list, on your phone, and go through your whole telephone directory and every name on your phone and apologize to all of those people because you, it turns out,
What the problem?
you were the problem and you were helping to lie. You were helping the lie on both of those and so many other things probably. You're probably also one of those people who believes the news when you see it on TV at night.
I used to be that person.
Yeah. But
And
now you're
I've
not
got-
anymore.
I'm not.
No.
And I'm actually glad that I'm not because you realize how much, it's very limited. The news that you get on TV, very limited. And it's always very bad. That's the one thing I've always noticed. It's in
always
fact,
bad
the
news.
first reason why I stopped watching the news, I was like, why am I always hearing about bad stuff in the
Mm-hmm.
world? And then the 5 minutes of sports is the only positive thing that you hear.
And Sims, how many of those stories actually affect you?
It doesn't. The
Right.
only time I really cared
So you were getting,
was about maybe the fuel increase because that would
Sure,
be like, oh, things are
but you
going
can find
up.
that out on your phone.
That's it.
And you don't have to sit on your phone for hours scrolling through news stories. But let me ask you this. Did it make you feel like a good, happy person afterwards?
Oh no, I was
Or did
so
it make your life
anxious.
worse?
No, I was anxious because now you like leave the house and you're like, oh, this person was killed, and then this person was raped, and then like this thing happened at the schools, and you're like, oh my gosh, like the world is not safe. And yes, it's not safe, but you don't want to walk around with that kind of thoughts and energy and so I stopped watching the news. But because I stopped doing that, I needed to be informed. And so you go to alternative things, you start reading and you start looking, and there's Twitter now, there's TikTok, there's Facebook, and you're like, oh wow, the world is actually bigger. There's so many other things to talk about. There's so many other things, different opinions, and then you see like the same thing, ageism, and you're like, hey, boy, why are we calling an old man and we're saying that we're being ageist? And you start thinking to yourself, okay, and you see other opinions, you realize, you see here, I'm not going to follow this one because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Why are we saying, oh,
So-
you're so ageist?
The whole thing that brought this up was that you mentioned you watched Megyn Kelly, and I said she interviewed Jake Tapper, formerly of CNN. I think he might still have a show. I don't know.
After
he's
this, I doubt
so
it.
Jake Tapper's written this book, Tell All. This is what was really going on. And she tore into him. She was like, you were part of the problem, dude. And I just thought this was one of the best things Megyn Kelly's ever done. It's easily right up. I mean, she's destroyed Jake Tapper's career and he deserves to have it destroyed. He was basically a PR machine for the White House. And you are not meant to do that if you're in media. Just like, there are some outlets in South Africa that are PR machines for the union buildings.
Oh, yes.
They should not be. You should be ashamed of yourselves. And you're lying to South African citizens. Shouldn't be able to do that. It's just wrong.
Is there a reason why he's decided to do a tell-all now?
I don't know, but I will give Jake Tapper credit because at some point in the interview, he actually apologizes.
Okay.
And he says, I was wrong. I acknowledge that I shouldn't have done this. I didn't have the integrity to be able to make the right decisions at the time, or whatever he says. But I'll give him credit for at least admitting that,
Yeah.
because that is the path to recovery. And I think anybody in the media business who keeps on with the lying, because they've got sunken cost syndrome, they've put so much into this that they feel even if they know it's wrong, they got to keep going because they've already wagered their whole reputation on it. So they think, I just got to keep on doing this, right?
Yeah, but like the good book says, like everything that's done in the dark will come to
Yes,
light.
correct.
And it doesn't matter. It could have been, this guy, he decided to do this towel book. Shout out to him for that. But he's the reason why everything is coming to the light. And maybe it was his conscience eating him up at night.
Maybe.
On some, dude, like you need to tell the truth. You need to tell the people the truth. And look, now we are getting the truth. But just know whatever you do, and it might be small. Like you might think, I'm just impure. No one knows me. No one's going to see what I do. You could have stolen a 5 rand, a 2 rand. You could have lied to your ex-husband, boyfriend or whatever. One day the truth will come out. So just be an honest person.
Yeah. And that little bit of truth can have a huge positive effect. So tell the truth. And this is what I love about our audience. So Rebellious Ruth says, I'm on 2 hours of sleep this AM. Flip after a long American work hour week. Insomniac. Ruth,
Get some
you're
sleep.
a trooper.
But get some sleep.
No, stay with us, Ruth. Dirk Kutsia says, has Gareth noticed his laptop is closed? I'm not writing comments for my health.
Ew.
Radio South Africa says he deserved to be embarrassed. That's Jake Tapper.
Yes.
AutoPen was the president. Yeah, but who was running the AutoPen? Because AutoPen is not a person. I want to know. It's like some intern or some university professor. I want to know who was in charge there. I'm sure you do too. In slow-growing prostate cancers, says Christian, it may never spread or it'll take 10 plus years to metastasize, if at all. So they lied, basically. In intermediate grade cancers, they could develop in 5 to 10 years. I mean, these are still long periods, Christian. But thank you for the info. Roxanne says, nice athleisure. What the hell's that? Nice athleisure. I can't say that. Nice athleisure wear today.
It's what you're
Gareth.
wearing. It's very,
Looking very smart this Friday.
athletic.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
As I said, it's casual, athletic wear.
I'm just glad I had clothes on when I got here because I was dressing in the dark. So I have no idea. And I haven't had hot water for like 4 days now. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mainstream media down in the mines. Yes.
Hey, it's done bad. It's done bad, Bandla.
Doubling down when you're in a corner is not a strategy. That's correct, Dirk. Chris Smith says, remember the ghost voice on radio in the 70s? I hear that same tone in the ANC guy on Facebook. The way ENCA covered Cyril's visit was disgustingly sycophantic. It was so disingenuous and fake, it was hard to watch, says Carl DeSantos. I agree. That's why it's so much on my mind at the moment, because I thought, for the average South African, this is their only source of news, because older people don't know the internet.
Oh, yeah.
So they
true.
sit there and watch it on TV, and they go, oh, well, this is we're being told the truth.
No.
You're really not.
You're not, Madali. You're not.
Yeah. Okay, let me just see here. There's some other comments that I've missed out on. America's first Muslim president, Barack. He was not a Muslim, Barack Obama, so that's nonsense. Rebellious Ruth, she's a trained lawyer, so she's not stupid. Dr. Jill? No, she's not a trained lawyer.
Oh.
She was a doctor of education, I think. But everybody calls her Dr. Jill. I just have a problem with anyone calling themselves doctors if they are not medical doctors. Because no one gives a shit about your academic degree. I mean, it's great, well done. That's terrific. You can put it on your business card. But it's confusing as hell. You should not be calling yourself doctor unless you can make someone better if there's an emergency. Like you go, is there a doctor in the room? And someone steps forward and goes, yes, I just did my dissertation on philosophy in ancient Greece. Oh, that's very helpful. Can you step aside, please, ma'am? We don't need to hear about that. We're looking for someone to save this person who's having a heart attack.
But wait, I will say this, Gareth. In those cases when they're like, is there a doctor in the room? And you can see they obviously want a doctor to help medically. I agree with you. Like, don't raise up your hand unless you are a medical doctor.
Yeah.
But I think there should be something. There is something about going all the way to doing a doctorate.
Sure.
Like, you studied and you are so, like, in this field, you're so well knowledgeable that we have to call you doctor, you know? And I do think, like, people should have, like
Dr. Dre. Or Dr. Kumalo. Come on. Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Oh damn. Okay, I got it all wrong. Sorry.
I'm talking about people that went to varsity and they did that thing. They went past they got a degree, but honors, but masters. From masters, but PhD. Come
Okay,
on
yeah,
now.
but all right.
Come on.
But a doctorate in what? Because if you do a doctorate in political science, I'm not impressed. It just means you've spent a lot of time on something no one gives a shit about. That's like someone who builds a Lego castle that's 1 kilometer in size. I mean, well done.
Gareth, if you
But
can
nobody
be impressed
cares.
with our garden winner here,
He won a gold medal, Simpiwe.
you must be impressed with people that go all the way to being to
All right.
getting their doctorate degree.
Dirk says, clearing up here and clarifying, Megyn Kelly is a trained lawyer. Yes, correct. Okay, fair enough. And she's very smart. I would not take Megyn Kelly on in a debate. She would probably wipe the floor with me. Gareth, are you trying to say Bladen Zimande is not a real doctor? He's a doctor of something. He's Dr. Bladen Zimande. But don't ask me what. Now I want to know. I'm going to look it up, actually. Dr. Blade Nzimande. That guy. He was... Okay, we've got a doctorate in philosophy. This is what we were saying, right?
All I'm saying, don't look down on these people. They went all the way to the highest level of education.
He has a doctorate in philosophy specializing in sociology from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. So sociology and philosophy. Two things that will not get you a bank loan if you want to buy a house.
Oksalayo, he studied it.
He wasted his time, okay? But then he was South African Communist Party chairperson and general secretary. Again, wasted his time. Then they made him minister of higher education in this country. And he did, as far as I can tell, nothing to improve it because it's worse than ever at universities in this country. So, wasted his time. He should have a doctorate in helping other people to waste their time. That's what he should have. God's sake. How did we even get onto this? Oh.
I tried standing up for all the people that got their doctorate degrees.
No, you did try. You bravely tried. And listen, I've got friends who have doctorates in very interesting subjects, literature or genetics or whatever. That's great.
Okay.
Particularly if it's a science or it's engineering or it's something where we're, robotics perhaps, or artificial intelligence, somewhere where it's going to be taking humanity forward. But the humanities, if you're a doctor, keep that to yourself. Okay? Just keep it to yourself. There is no one who needs to know except the people you're applying to a post at a university for, that need to see that. Don't put your D Phil or your D Lit or any of those things anywhere. Just don't. If it's an MBCHB, then you can fix people. You're having a heart attack on the train. Oh, shit, there's a person dying. Is there a doctor in the room? And the guy steps forward with his doctorate in sociology. He goes, well, I'd like to advise you on, the possible sociological outcomes of someone's death on a train. No, that's no use. We need someone to fix this guy. Anyway.
I guess now we know your thoughts on
How
people.
about Doc Shebeleza?
No?
That's what you're talking about. Shebeleza, Doc
But that guy was doing
Shebeleza.
that.
Shebeleza, Doc Shebeleza. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to think of doctors that would make the difference. I've missed a few shows. Have we spoken about the Piers Morgan Kanye Ye interview? What a disaster. Now, I didn't even know this had happened.
Okay,
So
wait.
thank you, Roxanne.
Okay.
I've got to watch it.
Okay, so there's a Piers Morgan Kanye interview. What's that about?
Piers Morgan obviously interviewed Kanye, and Kanye's been kind of controversial recently. I also think he's just maybe gone a little bit crazy.
No, he is crazy.
He's
no.
Didn't he ask Donald Trump to please pardon his friend Diddy? Yes, he did.
This guy, let me just tell you, as a massive Kanye West fan, okay?
I used to be too.
No, I still am. I think
like
I
his
have
music, yeah.
I think I have
To this
somewhere
day.
in my bio. It's humble with a hint of Kanye. Just
Right. Yeah.
I'm a
Cool.
bit crazy now and again, but I love that guy. I will be the first one to admit that he is crazy.
Sure.
He is and I think we're at a point where we need to stop giving him the attention. Because I think he knows that he can say things that are out there that are crazy. And because it's Kanye West, we're always going to give it attention. And we're always going to be like, Kanye said, what? And then he'll go explain it, or he'll be like, nah, or something like that. And you just realize that, oh, this guy is just playing with us. He's just saying things for the sake of saying things sometimes. Not all the times. So let's stop giving him some attention. Let's stop talking about him. And I think that will bring him back to his senses because it helps.
Well, you see, I've always maintained that genius and crazy live right next door to each other.
Yes.
And the people who are supremely talented and brilliant and genius often dip into madness because it's a very, very fine line between the two. And Kanye West, I agree with you. I'm also a fan. I've always liked his music. I've thought very highly of him in terms of his creative output. There is no doubt that this guy is unbelievably gifted. But the things he does and says sometimes make me think he's totally off the reserve. Like maybe he's high, or his brain produces chemicals that make him seem like he's high or something. But he's not to be trusted with ordinary stuff.
Yes.
Like commenting on politics,
Yes.
or dealing with bills, or worrying about whether the Uber's going to fetch him in 5 minutes or 2. He needs handlers.
Yeah.
He needs people to just help guide him through life, because I don't think he's cut out for it.
No, he did have handlers. It was called the Kardashians, but they messed him up even. They messed him up even more. So I think he needs different type of handlers.
Maybe.
Yeah. So don't give him attention, guys. Let's not do that, and maybe he'll change.
So Dirk Kutsia says, in his case, crazy broke into genius and is stealing the silverware. Yeah. And let's see here, the Roxanne in the comments, she doesn't have to put out the red light. That's from the Police song. Okay, very good. Blade introduced OBE, outcomes-based education. He cut and pasted from Australia and the US in the early years of our democracy. Yeah, he hasn't done a great job with that PhD in sociology.
Not at all.
Okay. How is Ass doing after the op? She will be on Monday's show, I think.
Let's hope.
But someone sent me a very funny meme. I think it was Katlejo who sent it to me on Instagram, of like they cremated some granny, right? Mm-hmm. And she'd had a hip replacement. So there was the hip joint made of titanium in this box with all the ashes. And then someone's like, pass this on to Leanne. Because that's what she's going to look like when they finished with her. So I tried to screenshot it, but it was one of those photos that doesn't last.
Yeah.
You know, those ones. Kanye's song has been stuck in my head for over a week.
Which one?
Is that the one with the... That's that, what, like that anti-Semitic one? There's a new... Yeah, because there's a new...
Okay, I'm old school Kanye. I'm like, good
yeah.
morning. You know?
I love that song. That's good shit. Yeah, he's got a song praising Hitler. That's the one.
You see, he does
Thank
things
you.
for attention. I promise you, I don't think this guy believes in the BS that he's selling us. He is doing things for attention. I promise you, it's true. It's true.
Well, maybe that is why he got involved with the Kardashians in the first place. They seem very good at like just getting attention for nothing.
Is it Kris Jenner? It's Kris Jenner. She has a new face.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like, she's
The whole thing's brand new?
brand new. Look up Kris Jenner like even 5 years ago, and then look at her now. New face.
Have you
new
seen,
person.
while you're looking
like she
for
looks
that,
like
Flex, see if you can find Kris Jenner a new face. But while you're talking about that, have you seen those memes of like if Hollywood famous people were poor, what they'd look like?
Yes.
Have you seen the Kardashian one?
Oh my gosh, they look. I'm so glad they got money, Shem, because poverty does not look good on the Kardashians.
No,
at all.
it really doesn't.
At all. So
Poverty.
it does not. You know, sometimes you can get away with it. Like you're like, this person doesn't look too bad. But on the Kardashians, they do not look good poor at all.
Yeah, you could also look up Kardashians' poverty. That would be very funny. Let people see what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Have you watched Neil de Beer's review of the White House meeting? That's from Durban Dope. So Neil de Beer we've had on this show before. He's a politician, very outspoken guy. He's also going through chemo at the moment, apparently. Yeah, I saw something updating us on some social media post about him going through cancer treatment. But Neil de Beer has always been a straight shooter. He seems to be very brave and unafraid to address whatever's going on in the news. So I'll check that out. Thank you. He cucked those scoundrels out properly, says Belly Vocal Media. So that's another thing that I've got to put in my homework for this week. What are you doing for the weekend?
I'm going to be indoors because it's cold.
Okay, I'll watch the Neil De Beer thing. You watch the Kanye.
Okay, that's
Piers
my
Morgan.
homework. Yes, I can do that indoors because
Yeah.
it's cold. There, can you see?
No, man, that on the right, that's her daughter.
No.
No.
That is her. That is
No.
her brand new face 2025 version.
How?
Struspop.
No, that's horse shit. Really?
No, that's her. She got her face done.
Oh, on the left, she looks terrible.
I know, right? She was crazy.
What's going on there with those under the cheeks? What's that all about?
It's all those fillers. Because, you know, they get fillers and Botox and it was starting to, like,
Oh,
sag
but you
and
know,
stuff.
on the right, she looks young, okay? But the problem is that going to hold?
No. Because you're going to have to... You see the thing with, like, surgery and these Botox and being pulled to the left, to the right, the new face.
How old's this woman?
I don't know, but I can tell you now.
I'll look it up while you just tell me about the Botox.
Yes, with all these things that they do, you going like they get their face pulled and they remove things. You're gonna have to continuously do
Jesus,
that.
she's 69 years old.
She looks 39 in the new face.
Yeah, but for how long?
A few months, but she has the money to maintain it. That's the difference. Because this thing is quite expensive. Look at that.
She looks like Kim. I can't tell the difference between that face and Kim Kardashian's face. I'm not being funny here. And I'm certainly not looking to insult Kris Jenner. A big part of me would almost prefer that she just really looked like she looks at her age of 69. I
Yes.
feel like there is something dignified and gracious about someone who just ages naturally.
Yes.
And I don't know what she's going with. Like how her daughter's 44 and 46.
That's Kim and Chloe, I think, or Kylie.
Kris Jenner was born in 1955.
Why is she trying to look my age?
Yeah, I just put that up again. That can't be real.
This is her. They have the money for it. And guess what? Now people are going to go into the consulting rooms with their doctors saying they want this face.
Yeah.
Our mothers are going to go in there saying, oh, I'm 48 or 58.
So when did she get this done?
I have no idea, but it's only been recent. The internet was talking about it, like, I'm sure for a good 2 weeks, like, yeah, man, this lady looks different. And then somebody out said, like, somebody on the net said, no, it's a new face. She's completely different. And when they said that, we were all like, okay, she looks completely different. She looks younger, but I don't think younger in a good manner. Because we know how old you're supposed to look. If she was trying to look 40, we'd try to understand, but she looks way too young.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel there's obviously some good genes in Kris Jenner because she had the first three girls
Yes.
who are attractive, right? I mean, the one has had to have a lot of work done, but two of them are. So from the right.
Keep going.
Jesus, what's that in the top right?
That's them before all
that
the
the poverty?
surgeries. That's the poverty.
Is that the
Wena.
poverty Kardashian?
But
Yo.
also, like, this is them
Oh my
before
God,
any
that is
surgery.
horrific.
Before any surgery. These are the girls you fell in love with. Keeping up with the Kardashians.
Look at that. That is horrific. Oh my God. If any of those women came up to me on a dark street at night, I'd have to shoot them dead. I think it was a zombie.
And if you look even over the years, especially Kim, you will see how her face has transformed over the years. Chloe is one of them. I mean, she used to be the chubby girl, and now she's no longer the chubby girl. She's now, a sexy Betty. And then the two young ones, yeah.
Kylie and
Kylie got
Kendall.
surgery when she was 16, so we already know that.
So we don't know what she actually would have looked like. She's like Michael Jackson. You'll never know
Yeah.
what the real person. That is her. That is the scariest picture.
That's why I say poverty does not look good on some people.
I don't think it looks good on any of us, to be honest. But it shows you what money can do. I'm blown away by Kris Jenner's new face. It's like she's chosen a face out of a jar and just put it on. It's
That's
phenomenal.
what money can do. So, Gareth, if you ever make millions, just know you can look like the Gareth Cliff when you were 25.
I don't want I know what that looked like. I don't want to go back to that. Jeez. We're like, wow. Wonder what that cost.
It's a couple of thousands, maybe even millions. Kanye Bao, you remember she
Something
did the
else,
surgery of removing her eyelids or something like that?
Like a gecko? She threw her eyelids away?
Yeah, she did a whole thing. I think last year she did a whole thing. She went to Dubai to remove her eyelids to like get something tight.
This is Kim.
No, Kanye Bao, our very own, our very own Kanye
Kanye
Bao.
Bao got her eyelids removed.
Yes, and now she's all healed up.
Can you see him, Bao?
Yes, she's all
I've
healed
interviewed
up.
her so many times. I want to see what she looks like now.
Please go look. She's all healed up, and now she's dropped a video basically saying she regrets doing that thing. And she was basically saying, you see, when you have money, you do stupid things like remove your eyelids and do all of this. She wished she didn't have the money to actually do it.
Kanye Bao eyelids, okay?
Yeah.
Kanye's new face goes viral. Did Kanye Bao do face surgery? These are the main stories that you will
That's
find.
it. Nazo,
How?
this was straight out of surgery.
Where Dabugisa? Why? What's going on there?
And she's actually come out with like a video saying she regrets doing this.
Yeah,
she
you're
wished
fucking
she didn't
telling
have
me.
the-
Look at that.
She wished she didn't have the money
Yeah.
to do it. But when you have the money to do these crazy operations, you do it.
Yeah. Well, they say black don't crack, but that fucking cracked.
Yeah, it's all the plastic that's in there.
Yo, I'm telling you, we're worried about microplastics and how they in getting in our brain and in our genitals and everything. Microplastics in a world where Kris Jenner and Kanye Bao have macroplastics all over their faces. You have nothing to worry about. Listen, have an awesome weekend. No matter what you have planned for this weekend, you might want to stay at home and keep warm like Simpiwe. You might want to go out and do something wild. Look after yourself and don't worry. You're not Cyril in the Oval Office. You're not Donald Trump with death, 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 death. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Just look after the basic things that you can. And don't worry about the things that you can't. Everything's going to be fine. Like that meme of the dog in the kitchen with the fire all around it. Everything's fine. We'll see you on Monday. Bye.
Bye.